Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. But we are joined by very special guest, almost a gold guest, you could say, because not a one-time, a two-time Emmy-winning producer for ESPN Sports Center. Thank you so much for joining us again, Ajay Atayee. It's a great pleasure to join you again, sir. How are you doing on this beautiful Friday night? You're muted. You're muted, AJ. I can see you down there, right there. You're still muted.
There we go. Sorry, I just connected my headphones. Just connected, of course. False start on the first play of the game. What's going on, guys? How are y'all doing, man? Appreciate you guys having me back.
Of course, sir. I wanted to congratulate you on your new Emmy. I know you just posted about it the other day. I know it's very something that you cherish, you keep close to your heart because you work hard on your craft, Mr. AJ, and I really do appreciate that. What is it like to win an Emmy?
It's pretty wild, man. It's kind of funny because it seems like at least like in like our business, like this is very much like kind of one of those like pinnacle things. Like you know, everyone kind of hopes to win a couple. It's also kind of weird, and I had somebody tell me this. Like I got nominated for a regional Emmy when I was an intern at Fox 5 back in like 2009 or something like that, and we lost. And then I lost, I want to say my first four that I was nominated for. And then the first one I ever won was a 10-year anniversary special we did for the death of Sean Taylor for NBC Sports Washington. We did a Washington football team post-game show, pre-game and post-game. Like the whole game was dedicated to Sean. And like we booked his dad, Pedro. We booked Gabe, who was like a kid at the time, like the whole family. We booked some of his college teammates and just like did a whole remembrance show. And that was the first thing I ever won an Emmy for. So that was like super special to me. Also like growing up, you know, like diehard, like, you know, Skins fan who rooted for Sean Taylor as like a kid, you know. So it's pretty cool for that to be the first one. And then, yeah, this one kind of surprised me. So this one was like an overall category, Sports Center for like kind of like daily show. And you would just think Sports Center, right, is like, in Sports Center crew it's a large crew. Like there's like several departments that sort of go into it, and like, you know, PM, AM, there's a big umbrella, you know, of people. But you know, Sports Center I don't think had won the award in almost a decade. So it was definitely cool to be sort of a part of, you know, that first squad to win one in that long. So it was definitely really special. But I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for the love, for sure.
Of course, dude. Well, when they bring on Michael Jordan on ESPN, you know, obviously awards follow there, AJ. My first question to you. You were just talked about Sean Taylor, right? And I don't think it's by coincidence that number 31, 10 more than 21, Mr. Cameron Curl, has been electrifying for this defense in the back end so far this season. He had a sack on Monday night. Well, how do you expect Cam Curl to – do you consider that he's going to be consistent with this play? Because I think personally he might be the best safety we've had here since Sean.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the better ones. I think what really sucks is this Landon Collins injury, and you hope it's – I know he's already been declared out for this upcoming week, but you hope it's not much more than that, because it seems like between sort of the whole defense, like on all three levels, the D-line, the linebackers, the secondary, like first time all year, clearly, like that they're sort of in sync, and losing Landon kind of just, you hope it doesn't mess that up way too much, but you know it will. Like obviously on the touchdown that Seattle had late in the fourth quarter, like how easily they got down the field, like that just sort of reminds you how important communication, like continuity are. But with Curl, yeah, man, I mean, he should have had that one pick that went right through his hands. That was a bullet, so it's hard to be mad at him for that. But I mean, that dude is a star, and you knew early in the season he was out of position. They had him playing free safety with Landon at strong, and like he wasn't really comfortable there. And he's like, you know, a talented guy, so I feel like he did an okay job, but again, not really in position to make plays. But now he's back in the same position he was playing last year. You know, when Landon was out with his Achilles injury, and you just see it, man. Like, you know, the guy just he's just in the right spot at the right time. Like, almost getting the interception, picking up, fumble recoveries, being just like Johnny on the spot. And I don't think it's a coincidence, like better players, like that's how it always works out, right? They seem to be in the right place at the right time. And that's him, man. He's the truth. This is no longer a rookie fluke or anything.
Right. Did you watch the mic'd up thing? Because I absolutely loved his mic'd up
Yeah.
for Monday night because he goes to the bench and he's pissed off. Chris Harris comes up to him, the DB coach. He's like, let me
Yeah.
ask you a question. Do you like nice things? And then I loved it when Cam Curl said, he was like, I need a ball in my hands. When he was on the sideline right after, he's like, I need a ball in my hands because he was – and I love that about Cam because he's trying to get better and he was pissed off about it. Sorry, Hall.
Yeah, he expects to make plays and to be that dude, right? Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, like that's the expectation. It's not like a surprise when it happens for him. Like he's going out there with that alpha mentality for sure.
Yeah, definitely big props to the scouting department for finding that 7th round gem.
Yeah,
because I mean,
pick of the draft, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. And speaking of another guy that's going to be out this weekend is J.D. Mckissick. Obviously, he's kind of been that kind of scat back kind of burst of energy to the offense throughout the whole season, really. How do you think the offense is going to be affected with him being out this Sunday?
I'm interested to see. I was a fan of Wendell Smallwood when he played in Philly, and if that's the route that they choose to go instead of like Jarrett Patterson sort of playing a third down role, which he hasn't really done in the NFL, it's kind of like already difficult. Dudes like, undrafted rookie asking him to do way too much. So I think Wendell Smallwood is somebody who could definitely benefit and hopefully is more like, the offensive line has been plug and play all year. And, I know that there are a couple guys banged up there too, but you kind of hope with Smallwood, McKissick's one of, if not the best pass catching back in the NFL, maybe, and at least like in terms of the production, like over the last couple of years, no one's caught more balls than that guy, including like Kamara and Eckler and like some of those like, top tier dudes. So it's going to be tough to fill his shoes, but you think Smallwood's a guy who has the experience, who's done it at like a high level before in Philly, and you hope that that's just next man up, and I think it also just puts more pressure on Gibson, like this is Antonio Gibson just has to continue to like show that he can hold on to the ball and just kind of continue to make smart decisions on the field, because when when he holds on to the rock, he's, he doesn't put it on the ground. The dude's a star, and he's I know that, Heineke deserves a lot of credit for last week and especially towards the end of that game, a couple of big third down throws, but the reason they got through the fourth quarter was Antonio Gibson pounding the rock, man. Like that guy is a workhorse. He's CP light. That's what I call him. I've told you guys this before. I talked to Santana Moss during the games, and I always tell him, like, man, this dude reminds me. He runs like CP.
He does.
Not necessarily going to have the breakaway touchdowns, but he's going to gash you for 15 a pop over and over, and he's going to get stronger as the game goes. And that's like, he's definitely a weapon, man. I'm happy he's finally really starting to put it together.
Yeah, when you run tough like Antonio Gibson did, defenders are not going to be as willing to come up and pop you later on in that game, to your point. And I think last season, J.D. Mckissick was like top 10 of receptions among receivers in receptions in the league. That's how much he was utilized, to your point about J.D. And let's stick
with the other guy real quick also, sorry to interrupt you,
is
like now that they have Curtis Samuel back, I mean, Curtis almost kind of plays that same role too. He's always in motion. He's always coming out the backfield. Like that dude is constantly, every play that he was on the field, it seemed like he was in motion or playing either out of the backfield or out of the slot. So that's potentially, like, when you think about it, McKissick's more of a receiver, who plays out of the backfield. So that potentially could be another person who steps into that role. Sorry if I jumped your question.
No, you're good. That actually wasn't where I was going, but I was going to stick with the running game because there has been some injuries to the offensive line. Coach believes that Eric Flowers will be good to go for Sunday, and he said like a pain tolerance type of thing. So they're going to see if Eric is good to go. But that being said, we might be having Tyler Larson back, or we're playing Keith Ishmael, the second-year center, and our fourth center on the depth chart, and then Cornelius Lucas there at right tackle. The Raiders right now are 25th in the NFL on defense, with giving up on average 125 rushing yards per game, AJ. Given with all these injuries on the offensive line, are you confident that Washington can continue to running the football against Vegas this weekend?
Yeah, I think the issue with them is going to be, and just assuming, because I'm not 100% up on their injury report, but if Crosby and Ngakoue are healthy, like they have two game wreckers sort of on the outside, and those guys they can ruin the pass game and they can ruin the run game. So I think just despite the fact that maybe their rankings aren't that great, like they have two guys that are definitely able to, like Ngakoue, a Maryland dude, born in the DC area, like he is certainly somebody who could have a 3-sack game. And Crosby is one of the best in the league at his position. So I think that they are probably positioned well, especially in the interior, to pound the rock and if they're able to either get a lead or have a close game, be able to lean on their run game, especially late. But, definitely don't take for granted that, they're just going to walk in and walk all over that team because they got some playmakers, man.
Yeah, and to your point, Yannick has 8 sacks right now, which is 11th in the NFL. Crosby was 5 so far this season. So to your point, 13 apiece by them. They're dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking about Max Crosby, he's pretty much top 5 in every major statistical like pass rushing category where it's
superstar
QB hits, pressures. I know the sack numbers aren't there, but like I said, he affects the game just in so many other ways. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and he has 2.
And we know that
game, so.
Chase Young. I mean, he was like we all saw. Like we know that the stat line for his sacks or whatever last year didn't look great, but like the dude was able to dominate the game without getting sacks. And when you're getting double teams and guys on the other side are getting single coverage and they're winning, it's because of that guy. Like there's a trickle down effect. So just because you got low sack numbers doesn't mean you're not, doing something right.
Exactly. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you.
AJ gets it.
I'm glad you said that because people have been getting on Chase. I know you're on Twitter, so you see it all over Twitter. But it's just, the guy's in his second year. He's still developing. Bro. He's gonna get it. But anyway, getting back to the game on Sunday, what in your opinion, whether it's on offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, obviously you got stars like you said, Max Crosby and Ngakoue. They have a pretty good linebacker, Jonathan Abrams on the back end, can come up and lay the wood on you. What do you think is going to be the key to stopping this Raiders offense, and what's going to be the key to Washington pulling out a W this Sunday?
Man, it's just that interior defensive line, like we had heard so much about with Allen and Payne, just like continuing what they've been doing the last month, really. Those dudes have been dominant up front, and they have to continue to be that. Like Derek Carr is a guy who could beat you if you let him, but he's also at least from what I've seen, he's easy to sort of shake up. And if you're able to get that pressure on him early, knock him down, make him sort of work for it and, affect his confidence a little bit earlier in the game. Like, he's not going to sit back in the pocket, 7-step drop and just unleash bombs down the field all day. He's going to get tight and start, dinking and dunking. So I think that to me is the key, defensive line, interior, just continuing to get a push. And then I know that I think Darren Waller is not supposed to play, but, they got a guy, Foster Moreau. I think he was the LSU guy. He could do damage, and that's a guy who can get you on third down. So I don't know if it's going to be Kaliki Hudson or who steps in for Landon Collins on defense, but they're going to have their hands full, and that being able to affect defensive line, win their battles, and then get that team off the field, keep Washington's offense on the field. Like that's the key.
Yeah, and I butchered all of this because I just want to say the Burgundy Zone is part of the Frederick Podcast Network, and you can find out more at listenfrederick.com. AJ, the Raiders are 2-3 in their last 5 games, but the 2 wins, they're 2-0 against the NFC East. This is a big game, and it being in Vegas, we have to go with the whole feel of it, right? We're in that environment. So let's just say if there was like a prop bet that you could guarantee for fans out there that's going to happen in this game, like let's say, AG 2 touchdowns or Logan Thomas gets a touchdown or above 5 catches, whatever have you. If you could guarantee one bet that people should make in Vegas for this game, what do you think it would be?
I would wonder what the over-under for McLaurin catches is. And, if we're sitting between like 3.5, I would for
3.5.
We're a little low on him last week. I feel like with with Mckissick gone, those targets are going to be pretty distributed. I feel like coming back.
Your mic is chopping up right now badly. Is that better?
My mic is breaking. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, there you go. You sound a lot better now.
Sorry. So I don't know if you heard what I said at the very end, but Scary Terry over 3.5 catches for me, with some of those targets not going to Mckissick anymore. I think Terry's gonna rack up some targets and some receptions.
Yeah, no, that's a good one to lay down, especially with this Raiders defense kind of being a little below average to say the least.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Forgot what my question was going to be. Oh, this past month, like obviously the teams kind of made a turnaround since coming out the bye week. They're beating teams like Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, Cam Newton and the Panthers. They just took down Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. Taylor Heineke's been playing pretty much out of his mind. He's been putting up pretty great numbers, looking good on the field. What do you think has been the biggest key to his turnaround coming out of the bye week?
I think he's just kind of learning like himself and learning how to be NFL QB and learning like he doesn't have to make the game-breaking play every time on every third down, like live to fight another day. You don't, throwing interception, putting your defense in a bad spot is not going to help anyone. So, sometimes pulling the ball down on a potential deep pass and picking up some yards with his legs, checking down, and then also finding I heard this on the broadcast the other night, and it's so true. Finding his guys, his checkdowns faster. Sometimes when he would actually check down, it would be so late in the progression that those dudes are smothered by the time they catch the ball. So you're risking an interception or, you're getting dudes blown up.
Yeah.
So
we saw that with AG.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, no one likes that, and quarterbacks don't last too long when they're getting their receivers and their backs blown up.
Hospital balls.
Exactly. Right. So, and he's done a really good job of that the last couple of weeks is he'll hit guys in stride early in the progression enough to where they can kind of turn and make plays after the catch. So I think that is one place. And then you just see his confidence, man. Like you're not seeing a bunch of like crazy 50-50, thrown into triple coverage balls. But like when he does have the opportunities, when the ball, opportunities are there, like what he lacks in arm strength, like that dude has in sort of anticipation. And he's got such a good feel for the game that he's able to make up for some of the lack of physical traits. And it's impressive, man. Like he's strung together really, kind of as a special month, like for especially quarterbacks in DC. Like, this is probably one of the better months any quarterback has had. Yeah, maybe Cousins, like, 2016, like 27, that sort of era. Yeah. So it's been a while since we've seen like consistency and just solid play like this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And now to wrap this up, AJ, I got a couple questions for you. First one being, if there was one player that you could say has to have a good game in order for Washington to be in a position to win, what player would that be?
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, Daron Payne. Payne's got to have a big.
And what about prediction for the game? Will Washington even it up, go 6-6, and make things very interesting in the NFC East?
Yeah, I think they will. I think Washington wins. I'll bet a little, especially with this kicking situation being a little weird. I feel like there's going to be a mix and at least one missed extra point, because why not, right? I'm going to guess a little like 20-10 action on this game.
There you go. I think that's a really good that would have been a great prop bet, by the way, for like a blocked field goal or something like that. I think that's perfect, AJ.
Oh, yeah. So it's gonna miss or, something's going to happen. Yeah, that would have been a better prop bet than the one I laid down. But
it's all right. You answered it anyway, AJ. I can't thank you enough for joining us, sir. I want to congratulate you again on your award. You obviously deserve it, AJ. You're always reaching out, and I really do appreciate you, brother. You're one of the best follows. If right before we go, just in case people don't know where they can come find you on social media so they can plug your stuff.
Yeah, man. Ajay Atayee on Twitter, Instagram. I don't post anything way too exciting, but you can hear me. Yeah, moan about sports and about things that are
No, but you are one of the special, better fans of this fan base, AJ, and we are better off with you. And I hope at Sports Center you can keep plugging in some good Washington highlights instead of all the bad ones that keep coming up. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know. I'm working on a piece the weekend with Josh Allen, and it made me sad that Washington didn't get the Manning cast.
I know.
No, it made me kind of sad, but
all good. You know, you got to win, man. You got to win, and you got to win in primetime, and they've been doing that a little bit. So you know, that's the way to get some of those primetime games and get some more love nationally. You know, just keep putting it together.
You're absolutely right, AJ. You have a great weekend, sir. Best of luck, and hopefully we get a win on Sunday, sir.
Let's go.
I'll see you, brother. Have a good one, AJ. Until
weekend,
next time. All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man, Ajay Atayee. Now, before we get going out of here, why don't we get a little Manscaped here? You know, feel a little breezy in here. Let's get our Manscaped ad, and so we can find out what you guys should be looking for and gift ideas for all your brothers, cousins, dad, uncles. I don't care. Hook your guys up with some Manscaped. Let's hear it. Ho, 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 gentlemen. Just like myself, the holidays came early here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products, including their new Ultra Premium Body Wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Everyone likes a 2-for-1 deal. It's time to give yourself, or someone who needs it, the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use the code BurgundyZone for 20% off plus free shipping. All right, welcome back. Thank you, guys. And make sure you use the Burgundy Zone and type that in for your Manscaped so you get 20% off on your order. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. Now, we are going to be joined by two very special guests. One that you guys know very well, and he will be joining us here very soon. But this other guest that we have, you guys don't know. If you saw him on the street, you might think he's Derek Carr. Or you might think that he's my brother or cousin, but in reality, it's just Kevin, a.k.a. Cracky Walsh, one of our good friends, and that we've known for quite a while. Kevin, and Raiders fan, by the way. How are you doing today?
Nothing means nothing.
What does that mean?
Nothing means nothing, man.
I was wondering what his intro was going to be, and
I'm
that was
talking all
terrible.
the way at the top, unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in. But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah. We're talking about Vegas madness, baby. And I've got more to offer to Commissioner Roger Goodell. Thinks that I got something for you right now in the cards. But we talk about jackpot, baby. What's up, baseball? How you doing?
What's up, dude? Oh, my goodness. I can't believe you sometimes,
That
man.
might have been the best self-promo intro we've had
was.
on the Burgundy Zone in all of history.
I couldn't let y'all down, man. Y'all are my boys. I appreciate y'all, man. I can't believe. Wait, so you're boys with Logan Paulson. You're boys with Cam Curl. You're boys with Cam Curl's dad. You're like the only people you don't like is like RG3 and Kirk Cousins. Like,
and Albert Hainsworth, but besides that, Kevin.
Oh my God! Hey, if I don't talk about Albert Hainsworth, you don't talk about Jamarcus Russell, and we'll call a truce right from the start.
Yeah, you got yourself a deal.
All right, so
bet. I like that Mike. Mike. Jeez, Louise, man, that thing is.
All right, so let's get in.
Boom, man.
Let's get into this game, Kevin. For you to kind of introduce yourself to everybody. I want to get your input on how the Raiders are playing right now and who they are as a team, so they can kind of see how you view them.
It depends what game you watch. Because, they could play the Bengals and look like crap, and then they can beat up on the Cowboys. They can dog the Broncos and then get crapped on by the Chiefs. Like, I don't know what this team is. I'm basically just betting against them to try to pay for a win. I don't know if that means anything. Like, I'd rather put $50 on Washington to cover 2.5 this weekend and be like, I lost $50, and the Raiders won. Otherwise, I'm like, well, at least I made $50. Like,
right.
I don't know what I'm getting. Derek Carr, if he doesn't throw for over 300 yards, it's a loss. If he throws for over 300 yards, it's a win. But there's games where he doesn't know how to throw it beyond the sticks on third down. And so
Look at Kevin knowing that they're 6-0. Look at Kevin knowing that the Raiders are 6-0 when Derek Carr throws for 300
I'm actually
plus.
mad because I was going to drop that little nugget later.
Yeah. Well, luckily Washington is 32nd in the league to quarterbacks and 30th in the league to wide receivers. But the only problem is those year-long facts don't apply to the past 4 games where y'all have been getting right. And the Raiders just, once again, they're just lost. I think Deshaun Jackson brought a lot of juice for us last week against Dallas. But, I mean, you take him away, we don't even have a shot in that game. So, if I'm looking at the two teams, they're heading in different directions. Washington looks like a team that's really complete right now. Outside the quarterback and the offensive line positions, they could get some better linebackers, but everything else seems to be working out, and you're fine. Where the Raiders, it's like, well, what do you have anywhere based off of you're Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue can rush the passer 100 times, but can't only get to the quarterback 13. You're just really not getting a good answer, but you're just getting a lot of big numbers. That's what you're getting out of Vegas. You're getting big numbers and minimal results at this point.
Yeah, and that would make a lot of sense because to your point there, in points per game and offensively, they are 17th. So, yes, they do score, and they're second in the league in passing yards right now. So, like your point, they
only
get down
to Dallas, which beat us last night. So, if you're going just off last week, Derek Carr is the number one passing leader in the league. But
I'm upset you didn't bring up the Steelers win. That was a big one for us.
Oh, man. No, I mean, it was at the beginning of the season. We thought we had a head coach. We thought we had a number one wide receiver, but we thought wrong.
Right.
we really don't know. The team looked like they had something, but they're still missing. There's no real guidance. I just don't see the leadership outside. Like, it seems to always be positionally, because outside of that, you just don't hear anything. The offensive line. But that's a good thing sometimes. If you don't hear about them, that means they're doing okay. Like Trayvon Moehrig is actually playing very well, very underrated rookie coming out of the second round. And then you have an offensive line that's progressively gotten better. Like, you really haven't heard Alex Leatherwood's name too much since he switched to guard. But it's a lot of uncertainty that I see right now with our franchise. And the problem is we're hitting December. And the only thing certain about December is, for some reason, Washington wins in December and Vegas loses. So,
Derek Carr in particular does not do well in the December days. Now, oh my goodness. Okay, and so now we are joined by our guy again, Mr. Nate Coleman, we've had before. Nate, it's a pleasure to have you. Once you get in here, I'm going to properly introduce you. But Kevin, since you came onto a Washington podcast, my brother, you're going to be trapped in here with us with answering some questions from the fans. And our first one is from our guy, Scott Hartley in the UK. Oi!
Is Scott Hartley, like, he sounds like he should be a wrestler in, like, the WCW. Like, that's who
he was in the military.
Okay, because he just sounds like a bad motherfucker. But then you say he's British, and I'm like, never mind. Like,
the Brits are some badass, dude. What's up, Nate? How are you doing, brother? Thank you for joining us again, sir.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
It's a pleasure to join you again, sir. And Nate, to wrap up this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to answer fan questions, and your insight is always great to have, as always. So the first one is from Scott, and his question is, halfway through the season, rank the draft class. Who has been the most impactful rookie as well? Nate, I'll start with you.
Ooh, man, that's a good one. It seems like almost everyone in this draft class has kind of contributed in some way or the other. Besides, Diami Brown really hasn't done a lot, but he's still young. But I mean, like, I still got to stick with Cosme. I think he's like, he could be your blue chip, like, prospect of the future right there. When he played, he was one of the most effective tackles we had. So, and that's a premium position that you're getting in the second round. So I'm going to stick with Cosme, but I mean, obviously he's got to get healthy and get back on the field.
Yeah, because Scott thinks it's Bates, and I do agree to go in that direction, but I think Sam Cosme easily takes the cake there. Hall, real quick, what is one rookie you think has been the most impactful?
I mean, it's hard to argue Sam Cosme. Like Nate said, when he was on the field and out there, he was one of the best or the better right tackles in the league. Everyone thought there would be a drop off from Morgan Moses, and he stepped right in, kind of a plug and play type scenario. So.
And he beat out Cornelius Lucas.
If I had to go a second person, I'd probably go St. Juice, just because based off the beginning of the season, how he kind of stepped in. It was he was playing pretty good for a rookie cornerback, where stepping into the league as a rookie, as a cornerback, especially nowadays in the high passing volume league, it's very hard with all the everything skewed towards the receivers and the offense. So I think St. Juice has done a commendable job stepping in as a rookie and playing in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'm upset at both of you for not saying Cameron Cheeseman, because when you said impact, it doesn't mean good impact. I'm not downplaying Cameron Cheeseman at all, but there are some special teams has been an issue this year. I'm just kidding, Cam. Kevin, what about somebody on the Raiders? Who do you think has been the most impactful rookie so far this season? Somebody Washington should keep an eye on this weekend.
Oh, well, it's hard to differ between the two of them, because the fact is you don't hear their name a lot. Once again, if you don't hear their name a lot, that means they're not getting dogged on the defense. you hear their name a lot, it's usually a problem. But Nate Hobbs coming out the slot corner is one of the top in the league. And then Trayvon Moehrig, he's coming in. He should have been a first-round draft pick. If you flick Trayvon Moehrig and Alex Leatherwood, we had a great draft. But the problem is that we put them – but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're both on our team. They're both playing. They're both healthy. And that's the name of the game is health. And if you're going to play all 13 games so far, you're doing pretty well in my draft class, especially if you're a starter.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you there. Now, Paul Murphy asks a question for us. I'll go to you, Nate, with this one. Who is your current team MVP 12 weeks through the season?
That's a good one. I mean, like John Matsko, if I could name a coach. If I had to pick one player, I guess it's John Allen. I mean, you're talking about one of the 3 most impactful interior defensive linemen in the league. I mean, he's so disruptive. I mean, that's an obvious one. Yeah. I guess the unheralded guy, if you want one more, is like Cam Curl. Cam Curl has been so consistent all year. Like he hasn't made
you see Kyle's face?
Yeah, he's taking on my guy. He likes that.
He keeps taking on my
man. Though, like he doesn't make maybe as many splashy plays as he did last year, but he's been really consistent. He hasn't had any bad games. And as a safety, I mean, that is hard to do because you're constantly dealing with, you have to make big tackles where you're the last guy back, or you got to stop big plays. And I like Cam Curl a lot, man, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree
with
you there.
I like your fresh haircut, Nate. It looks like you went today.
Oh, dude, Nate always is freshed up, dude. You should have saw him at week 1, dude. It was right out. It was shining off his head. No, Kevin, what about you? Who is somebody that you think is the MVP of the Raiders season? Like, it has to be Derek Carr at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's the only person, like we talked about. It's basically him. He's the difference between a win and a loss. We haven't really – there's been some games, though, where the defense has held the other team to less than 20 points, put the game in his – so he's also he's very overrated in some games. Like, we're waiting for him to do something, and he just doesn't, and he just leaves with that all gosh attitude. Like, thank God God's with me because I didn't get it on this play. Like, it's
West Coast Kirk Cousins.
Oh, my gosh. I think he's a little bit more explosive than Kirk Cousins, especially in the fourth quarter and in the 2-minute drill. If the ball's in his hand and they have some kind of control, if it's a 7 or 14-19 game and it's the last drive of the game, I'm not trusting him to do it. But if it's 24-30 and he needs to score, he's already gotten 3 and he's hot, he's got it. But it's definitely the Harvey Dent is more like it on our team than Kirk Cousins because we really don't know who we're going to get every week, and we're relying on it.
And to your credit, the Raiders offense, they are 28th in the league in red zone conversion percentage to touchdowns, 50%. They are low in the league in that.
That's why they bring in Marcus Mariota to run it in. That it's pretty sad. When you get all the way down to the red zone, you get to the 3-yard line and you can't just run it in. For the offensive line just are not big bullies anymore, and they can't just push through. That's where they cheaped out and fed the defense, and you're seeing the difference in it. But the problem is they can't put it in the red zone, so they got to bring in Mariota, and I'm sure that messes with somebody's confidence somewhere along the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the next, what about you, Hall? Who's yours?
MVP of the season so far. I'll go. I mean, how can you not go Terry McLaurin? God. Like, obviously. I mean, look, Cam Curl, obviously Jonathan Allen, they're making more of the flashy plays, but at the end of the day, Terry McLaurin's, once again, I'm not saying that, like, Taylor Heineke, obviously, he's been playing pretty good over the past, 3-4 games, but that prior 4-game stretch, people were ready to throw him to the Wolves, insert Kyle Allen, but who was still out there catching balls, making plays, putting up 60-plus yards a game, scoring touchdowns? Our guy, Scary Terry, so – I mean, look, the captain, the guy, the man, the myth, the legend. How can you not go wrong with Scary Terry?
Yeah, you guys took all of mine, which were great picks, by the way. They were fantastic. But my MVP vote is going to the fan who pushed Gerald Everett out of the stands in that touchdown celebration. That guy's
Did you steal that from your guy on Monday or Tuesday? Didn't somebody else say that too? He gave him his game beer. Was the guy
yeah. But I'm just gonna say he's the MVP, man. I don't care about that.
Okay.
Now, Paul Murphy's next question, Nate, is who will end up being the top touchdown scorer by week 17
on the team? I mean, besides the quarterback, they're saying
positional player. Basically, is it going to be Terry, Logan? Logan is who he believes is going to be.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, probably
Logan
just
have a Jordan Reed type stretch.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, probably just like Gibson, just because he has the most opportunities in the red zone. I think he's like top 5 in the league in red zone opportunities. So, I mean, he gets a lot of opportunities. The problem is, man, when they get in the red zone, they condense their offense, which I don't like. Like everything is very like tight bunch formation, a lot of 12 personnel, which is fine. But what you want to do in the red zone is stretch out the defense. You want to flex it out. And then you want to be able to call a pass and then go in there and like count the box and then run the ball. You know, when you have that advantage, use some no huddle, use some power, use some reverses, jet sweeps, play action. You need all of that trickery because we don't have great skill position players. We don't have a great quarterback. So we need like everything in the toolbox to make it work. And I don't think we've seen that a lot. And I don't think that's all on Scott Turner. It's a combination of everything, right? Yeah. So that's something I want to see them do better. I really went off on a tangent there, but I'll just take the easy answer. It's Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I don't think we have to get much into it. So I would agree with you at that point. Antonio Gibson was the leading touchdown guy last season. I would expect that to happen, especially given the fact they just signed a fullback this week, Alex Arma, who Rivera actually drafted back in 2017. So it's going to the fact that they're going to be ground.
He used to play for Carolina.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, right? But they're going to ground and pound, and so that I love that aspect of it. But I don't think we need to get much more into that because our next question is going to be from our guy Jeff Miles, and he wants to know the unexpected star for the game this Sunday against the Raiders. And I'll start with you, Kevin.
I mean, we talked about it in the group chat. I like Jarrett Patterson, Antonio Gibson's.
It doesn't have to be a Washington player, Kevin. It's okay. You don't have to
well,
suck
I really do. I like Jarrett Patterson in this just because Antonio Gibson is nursing an injury. It looks like J.D. McKissick's out. He did stand out in the preseason. He was one of the best players in football in preseason, especially yards-wise. I bet you it's probably going to be a defensive player on one of the two teams, either going to be Jonathan Allen or possibly Max Crosby or Yannick Ngakoue. But neither of these offensive lines are good right now. And the problem is Washington is going to possibly miss 3 offensive linemen this coming Saturday. You have Larson possibly out, Schweitzer possibly out, Sheriff possibly out. They're mostly all doubtful at this point. I think, did Sheriff partially practice or –
Yeah, he's limited. Everyone's been limited up until this point.
Both of these
Schweitzer's out. Flowers is the one that's been like.
Yeah, and Flowers sucks. I mean, he's been tossed around the league. He really can't do anything. I'm not a big fan of it, dude. But on the other side, I mean, Foster Moreau is going to do some work. You've seen in his one backup role when he came in with Darren Waller out and they targeted him. That's a great pick. But Hunter Renfrow is going to be the star of the game. That's your biggest weakness is allowing wide receivers to get big points. I know you had a great day last week against DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, but that's because Russell Wilson is not Russell Wilson. He should take some letters off his name. He should be just Russ Will because he's half the man he used to be. You need to that was garbage. Did you see how many times he targeted Gerald Everett and threw it over his head or underneath him? Like it was disgraceful. Like he should have just Geno Smith should be running that team because Geno Smith almost beat the Steelers or did beat the Steelers. I'm unsure of, but like Russell Wilson is not the man he used to be. He's been shut out. He really you all gave him points on a that 2-point failed conversion. Like that's the only reason they had 9 points until the end of the game. So Foster Moreau, Hunter Renfrow on our sides are going to be 2 big names. On your side, I'm looking at DeAndre Carter. It looks like the number 2 wide receiver keeps getting a lot of points against us, and he's been starting to show up. And I think that's where it's going to be because the number 1 is going to be guarded by Casey Hayward for most of the game, and he's one of the top Pro Football Focus cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin, 100 yards receiving guaranteed. Renfrow is your leading receiver right now with 658 yards. So to your point, Renfrow would be the great pick because Washington is last in the league in passing yards given up so far. So obviously to your point there, that would make a lot of sense.
I would love to see what it would be just the past 4 weeks though, because your defense this past 4 weeks is not the same as it was the first 8.
No.
It's a completely different team.
Yep, you're 100% right about that. You're 100% right. What about you, Hall?
MVP of the game, right?
No, unexpected star.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, I'm sorry to say 4 people then.
Yeah, I'll say Wendell Smallwood. I know Coach Rivera actually brought him up in a press conference today and talked about how he has a similar skill set to what J.D. McKissick does, and that's catching the football out of the backfield. Because what can you do to replicate that? Jared Patterson does not have that quickness, that agility. He's more of a pounder, stay between the tackles, stay below those offensive linemen so the defenders can't see him. So for that aspect, I would love Wendell Smallwood to be able to get a lot of touches, especially against this Raiders secondary. That when you make a move, because somebody like Denzel Perryman, who I know we all talked about Bobby Wagner on Monday and how good of a linebacker he is, Denzel Perryman is leading the NFL in solo tackles, 121 right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. And a guy like that who's big, bulky, great tackler, get him out in space, get him moving, and that's when he'll make mistakes. So I think Wendell Smallwood is the unexpected star for the game.
All right, so I got one now. I'm gonna go. I don't think the numbers and the stats are gonna be like so like godly and like, oh my God, he was a game maker or a game changer, a difference maker. But you see the guy come out, he gets about 4 targets, 3 targets a game. He has maybe a catch or 2 a game, but it's always a crucial catch in the game. It's always for a first down to keep the drive moving when we desperately need it. I'm gonna go Adam Humphries. I think that coming down the fourth quarter, I think we're going to have the ball driving down the field. It's going to be one of those 10, 12 like play drives where we're taking up 8-10 minutes off the clock.
More like 18 minutes.
Yeah, 3rd and 8. Let's say Humphries runs a quick little like a in route, gets 9 yards like he always does, right at the sticks. Keep the chains moving, seal the game. So I'll go Adam Humphries.
Anybody different, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I got a few here. I would say like if Charles Leno or whoever's playing right tackle, it's going to be Lucas. Whoever stops Crosby is going to be your like unheralded hero. Cause I mean, Crosby's having an all-time great year. He might not have the gaudy sack numbers, but I don't really care about that. He's like the most disruptive edge player right now in the league. So if there's someone who can put a stop to that's going to be my MVP right there. But I mean, they're going to have to chip. They're going to have to do a few things. They haven't really faced a really gaudy pass rusher like him yet. So it'll be a good matchup. But I mean, the offensive line is in the top 5 in run blocking and pass blocking by PFF. And the Raiders offensive line has been doing much better as well lately, at least from what I've been seeing on PFF specifically for pass blocking. I don't know about run block. I don't really care about running. I mean, I don't think either of these teams are going to get, I could see the Washington getting the run going, but they're going to be, I could see them playing from behind and having to throw a lot more. But I think the Raiders are just going to abandon the run because they can't run block and we stop the run. And I don't know. I just can't see that happening. But man,
Josh Jacobs is injured.
Yeah. I mean, on the Raiders, someone I like is Edwards. Edwards is a guy like he hasn't really, he's had a few like okay breakout performances, but one thing I know he can do is he can get that yak. And sometimes our defensive backs kind of seem to struggle with that one-on-one. So I can see Brian Edwards get a few like big plays here or there. He's probably someone no one is talking about because all the attention's going to go to Renfro. But man, losing Waller is just so brutal for them because he's been, I mean, he's such an elite player and just such a difference maker because you can create those mismatches. But I like that Moreau call. Moreau's, man, he's an awesome athlete. Well, he's unheralded, but he's a good player too.
And to your point, Nate, I mean, Washington, we all know this as fans. The tight end position always destroys us on defense. And we saw last week, Gerald Everett, the one touchdown given up to him, to the tight end. So if they would have had Darren Waller, that would have been a huge mismatch this week. To your point, that's a great one. Phenomenal. Our next question is from Orange Crush 92. And Hall, this goes to you. Is Vegas a must-win game? And the reason for this is because basically he's asking, where do we need to be to make the playoffs? And what he sees is that they're 8-8, the way he sees everything shaking out the division. And the one caveat being this Raiders game being the difference between 8-9, 9-8 is what he thinks.
Yeah, I actually think it's going to take 8 games to get to that 7th wild card spot. So I don't think this is a must-win per se. Would I like them to get the win? Obviously, and of course. Do I think they're going to win? I guess we're going to get into that later. Nice little teaser. But I definitely think that this is not really a must-win because again, it's not an NFC game. It's not a tiebreaker type game that's really going to affect the seeding as far as who's fighting for that 6th and 7th playoff spot. And with the Saints losing to Dallas last night, that kind of helps us. That went in our favor. With them dropping down a little bit lower in the rankings. So must win? No. Do I want them to win? Obviously, yes.
I do believe that it's a must-win for the Washington football team because their strength is running the football right now. And, yes, they have some injuries there, but the Raiders' defense really lacks in stopping the run. Vice versa, Washington's pass defense is terrible. Raiders are very good at passing the football. So this is going to be a juggernaut. This is going to be a slugfest between a strength and a weakness on each team. This is going to be big for Washington because if Washington has done a good job of stopping the run, but this is where they need to grow up. They need to be able to stop throwing the football too without Montez Sweat and Chase Young. If they're able to do that, then something is really looking good down the road. So I think this is big for their confidence because they can go to Vegas after Vegas had beat the Cowboys, has beaten Philly. If they can go in and beat Vegas in Vegas with a big Washington crowd behind them, I think that's a big confidence builder going forward and can leapfrog them to the playoffs. So yes, it's a must win for me. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, it's a must win. I'll tell you what, man, those Raiders, like they're number one in the league in explosive pass plays. That's pass plays, more than 20 yards down the field. I'm pretty positive. I haven't done the math on this one. I'm pretty positive they have more explosive pass plays this year so far than we've had in the past 2 years.
No
I mean,
way.
that is insane numbers. I mean, they're crushing it. And it's kind of crazy because, I mean, they had Ruggs earlier and they just have Deshaun Jackson. They really don't have field stretchers besides that. Like it's Renfro underneath. It's kind of Edwards in that intermediate area. And then, like Waller can do a little bit of everything, but they're just like, they've been so efficient over the middle of the field, down the field. So I've been impressed with them.
Yeah, you got to give credit to the trench coat king. He's doing a good job there behind the center. What about you, Kevin? Do you think this is a must-win game for Vegas?
100%. Last year we missed out on the playoffs with a 9-7 record. So even having that record does not even get us in the playoffs. So we're only 2 losses away from being there. In the AFC West, it's a lot different than the NFC East. It's not the worst division in football where you can just be crap and make the playoffs every year. In the AFC West, you have to compete with the Chiefs, who are back-to-back Super Bowl contenders. You have to compete with the Chargers, who have an excellent young quarterback in Justin Herbert. And then at the back end, the Broncos have almost one of the elite defenses. They were so good, they let go of Von Miller and got better. So you really have to look at the fact that if you lose outside of the division, you still got to win inside the division, and it just puts you behind the 8 ball. This is 100% a must win. AFC West is the only division in football that is every team has a winning record.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, Kevin, let's keep this with you because our next question is from Andy in the UK. Oi!
Actually, real quick, before you get to there, Orange Crush, I got you. John means business this weekend. I'm still a local, so I got the Orange Crush going here.
Oh, my goodness. All right, now, Kevin, this is going to you. Looking at preseason expectations, how far off are the team from where you thought they would be? Now, this is big for Vegas fans because obviously you thought Ruggs was going to be here. You thought John Gruden was going to be here with the unexpected circumstances. So how has expectations changed for you since the preseason?
6-5 is not far off from where I was expecting to be if you're looking at the record. As far as the team is, it's night and day. Our whole philosophy got shooken up. We're going from John Gruden and Henry Ruggs to not either of them. We have Greg Olson, who is one of the most vanilla call players in the league. We're basically using Gruden's playbook, and Carr's just trying to remember everything he could. And that's what we're doing right now. But he's allowed to pass the ball more. The offensive line, as much as we were hyping it up, they
probably
are what
because he's calling the plays.
Yeah, well, that's when he does. I mean, that's when he's most active. If you even go back to Fresno State, his last season, I think he threw 50 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and he called the offense. It was always in shotgun, but you can't do that in the NFL. You got to have, that's how people pick up on tendencies. Jack Del Rio's going to know exactly what he's going to be wanting to do if that's the case. So we're not where we wanted to be as far as established and ready to make the next step. If anything, I'm already thinking we're going to have to start rebuilding next year again.
Yeah, well, the whole coaching change obviously just threw that the wayside. And the whole biggest question I think for you guys is Mike Mayock, is if he's going to stay. But Nate, what about you? How has the expectations of the team changed for you? Because obviously it was big going into the season. We thought the defense was going to take a big step, that they were going to look really good, be top 5. Then disaster hits, the first half of the season. Then they go on this 3-game stretch here. So how have your expectations changed since preseason?
Yeah, I think their record is about what I thought. I definitely think the way they're playing now, I don't think they're quite as good as they're playing now, but I don't think they're anywhere near as bad as what they were playing earlier in the year. But I mean, everything I've seen, I like so far. I think they're right where they need to be. Nothing too crazy here. I don't know. I think people had weird expectations. Like I didn't expect the offense to be this good. Like, to be honest, like I know we're like a league average offense or whatever, but that's pretty good for like last year. We were bottom 2 in the league for pretty much every statistical category. So, and then defense is playing right where about we expected them. Now you're starting to see like William Jackson and Fuller start rounding into form right when you need them. And you're still going to get Sweat back, which is like, it's almost like an in-season trade when you get a first-round pick back. So that's kind of exciting too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. That's a great one, to be perfectly honest. Now, our next question, I'm going to go to you, Hall, and this one is from our guy, Big Tony Shivers. He wants to know, what was the bigger loss, losing J.D. McKissick or Landon Collins? Can you hear me, Hall?
Yeah, I'm back now.
What was the bigger loss, J.D. McKissick or Landon Collins?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I'll go J.D. McKissick. The both of them are huge losses. Because obviously Landon Collins has been playing up to the standard that everyone thought he would play to when we first signed him here on that big contract. He's been definitely, since he became the Buffalo nickel, playing down in the box. He's definitely been contributing more. He's been flashing. You saw the big punch out he had against Everett, I think it was, on a Monday night to get the ball back for us. You see him blitzing the quarterback, coming downhill, making plays in the run game. Well, that being said, I have faith in a guy like Jeremy Reeves, maybe a guy like Hudson stepping in and kind of – I think Jeremy Reeves can come in and play that role, if not – to that level, close to that level, and maybe even Hudson as well. But I definitely think that J.D. McKissick is, like I said, he's kind of that spark to that offense out the backfield. He's huge in the passing game. He's a pure run. He's he's more explosive than people think in the running game as well. He can kind of fit through those holes, little creases in the running gaps. And like I said, his third down pass blocking is very underrated. And with all that being said, I know Curtis Samuel is back and he can kind of fill that role off the backfield, but I still think he's coming back from the injury. He might be on still a little bit of a pitch count, so I'm gonna go J.D. McKissick.
Good Lord, man! You just had to take all the talking points and steal them all for yourself. Because I had that little nugget sitting there was the fact that nobody knows how good of a pass blocker he is, and that is going to be a huge detriment to the offense on Sunday going against, obviously, Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue. You're going to need help from your running back being on the pass protection. JD was the best one, in my personal opinion. What about you, Nate? What do you think there? What is the biggest loss, JD McKissick or Landon Collins for Washington?
Yeah, it's Collins because Collins plays a lot more snaps than McKissick does. I mean, McKissick's like a part-time player. Obviously, he's very good at what he does, and he affects the passing game. So obviously, I'm usually going to lean that direction. But yeah, I mean, Collins is going to be a big loss because he matched up well. But fortunately, they don't have Darren Waller because I feel like that would have been kind of a big matchup to see. So maybe it's not so bad. But man, with McKissick though, I think it's Antonio Gibson who's going to step up. I don't think it's. I heard them talk about Smallwood, and that could be coach speak. I really don't know until you see it on the field. You know, these guys like say whatever. It doesn't really mean anything until I see it. But Gibson has been getting more snaps. He's running more routes. He has the third most rushing yards the past like 3 weeks. He has like the second most yards after contact. He has a top 5 grade in PFF passing grade, like, you know, as a receiver. Yeah. And then he's also been really good at pass blocking the past 4 weeks now. He's graded above 70. So that's something that's really encouraging. He's definitely a guy I'd love to see him chip up with Crosby. I want to see him chip right, but I don't want to see him chip from like shotgun. I want to see him chip, like go up to the line of scrimmage, hit him, and then have the tackle play off of that. That's a lot easier for tackles. That's a little nugget I picked up, like listen to some of these offensive linemen. They don't like it when running backs come from the back. They don't know when the chip's coming. Sometimes it doesn't come. They're not sure when they have help. So if you can like have them line up and then just hit them immediately, that's the way to do it. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, completely just blindside them. And that would make a lot of sense, Nate, which is a really good one. Now, going to our next question. This one's from our boy, Brandon Reinbold, Meese 21. And Kevin, I'll start this with you, but let's flip it around for you. He wants to know 3 keys to beating Washington. And we're in rapid fire here. So
All right. Quick passing game. The defensive line is going to eat against our offensive line. I don't know what's happened since Allen and Payne have gone, but y'all have actually gotten better. And it's almost as an addition by subtraction. Who knows? But it's quick passing. You also need to get a lot out of Malcolm Kuntz and Clelin Ferrell on third down with Carl Nassib being out. They're huge on rotation, so you actually need those two players to do something. And you need to be able to actually get off the field. Their biggest problem is getting off the field staying on the field on third down on offense and getting off the field on third down on defense. The Raiders are getting hit with penalties terribly. Thanksgiving Day was 26 penalties. So keep the penalty yards under 100. Don't let Derek Carr get sacked. Quick passes, and that's how they'll win. But and then getting to Taylor Heineke, making sure that he can't scramble around.
Those are really good. And to your point, the Raiders are 17th in the NFL on third down percentage on defense at a 40% clip. However, last 3 games, they have given up 45% on third down, which ranks 25th in the NFL over that time. What about you, Hall? What are 3 keys? You don't have to give 3 because I'm pretty sure you're probably going to give some that we have. But what's a key or 2 for the game for Washington?
Yeah, I'll just give my main one, which is just stick to the game plan over the past 3 weeks, which is play bully ball, run the ball with Antonio Gibson. I want to see Antonio Gibson, again, get, let's call it between 25 to 28 touches, whether that's through the run game and the passing game, like both involved. And, yeah, that's going to be my main key to the game. Antonio Gibson, just shove it down to the throat with Antonio Gibson, get him out in the passing game, and control the clock like we've been doing for the past 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, my biggest key to the game is very, very simple, and that is executing in the red zone and getting touchdowns. The Raiders are last in the league in red zone scoring percentage rate in regarding with touchdowns in the league in 32nd. They get bludgeoned in there. Washington, if they kick field goals, bad news for Derek Carr. They could score very, very quickly.
Can Washington kick field goals?
That's the whole point. They have to score points. They're not. If they go for kicking a field goal, it should be considered a failure. That drive. Get 6 points because they're last in league in red zone. You have to be able to convert. For them to be able to win this football game, they got to convert in the red zone. What about you, Nate?
Yeah, so Heineke is maybe one of the best passers in the league when he uses play action.
Yep.
And he's maybe the worst quarterback in the league when he doesn't use play action. Like the discrepancy between him, like it's so crazy. Like you have to use a ton of play action. You don't have to establish the run to do that. You can use play action all day because we've been using play action the entire season and we haven't been that good at running the ball into the last 3 games or so. So the big thing is like you got to play with the lead, right? So you can pin your ears back and pass rush and, get to running the ball and all the stuff you love. But man, on the Raiders side, you got to put pressure on Derek Carr. Derek Carr has like a 110 passer rating when he has a clean pocket. When he doesn't have a clean pocket, his passer rating drops to like around 60 and he has more interceptions than touchdowns. So that's going to be a big one right there. And I think that's something they can do.
That was my number 2, was getting after Derek Carr. Absolutely.
I have that on my paper too. This guy sees ghosts. If you start going after him, he starts hiding. He might cry a little bit. You might see some mascara. He might look like Marv from Home Alone. Who knows? Like this guy, if you get to him, it's good. That's why I thought the key to the pass was quick passing. Get the ball out of your hands because you're going to get hurt, boy. You're going to get hurt.
Yeah, now let's wrap this up, guys. I have one more for us, but it's more of like saying what their expectation predictions are. But let's get the predictions for the game. And Nate, I'll start with you. What MVP as well of the game that you predict?
I think
MVP.
I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to have to be high scoring if you want to keep up with the Raiders, but I think they can do it. I'm going to go like 27-24. MVP is going to be unheralded guy. How about like Logan Thomas? We haven't really heard about him. He played limited snaps, but it'd be fun to see him get something going. So, like a good like 6 for 60 and a touchdown is what I'm thinking.
Oh, that's a great one right there. I was going to say Logan Thomas, too. I thought I was going to be able to pull the wool over your eyes, but of course not with Nate here. Nate's got to pick all the good ones. What about you, Hall? What's your prediction for this game?
As Kevin dropped the little nugget earlier, Raiders are 6-0 when Derek Carr goes for over 300 yards passing. When he's under 300 yards, they're 0-5. I'm gonna go see I think they're gonna have. It's gonna be a close game. I'm with Nate there. My heart is saying they're gonna win this. My brain is saying They're going to have one of those close games coming down the stretch, fourth quarter. They give up a missed tackle for a long game for them to like get in field goal range or score a go-ahead touchdown, or some broken coverage happens with Deshaun Jackson and he scores a 60-yarder to break our backs, and they beat us by like 2 or 3 points. But I got faith in my boys. I think the hot streak continues. I'm going to go with my heart on this one. I'm going to go high-scoring game. I'm going to go 32 to 27. Washington. MVP is, I agree with Nate. I think Antonio Gibson continues the streak. I think he steps up big with J.D. McKissick out. Over 100-plus yards again, total scrimmage yards.
Oh, that's a great.
I was picking AG, man.
That's a great prediction. I didn't think you would go down that route. What about you, Kevin? As a Raiders fan, how do you think this game's going to go? And who do you think the MVP is?
I'm not excited. I'm not excited about this game at all. You all match up very well against us. The defense is what's going to shut us down. But the over-under is 50. Raiders are favored 2.5. Betting says you go like 27-25, but I don't even think it's going to be that many points. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. The Raiders have been shut out a couple times. I'll go 19-16 Washington, and they'll take that right there.
Yeah, you had the right mindset there, going with the odd number because of the field goals. Most likely they'll be going for 2. That's where I'm going, 24-20. I think they might miss the 2-point conversion here or there, but I do think they will get to that 24. And because time of possession, Washington held the ball in their hands for 40 minutes nearly last week. And that was against a good offense with Russell Wilson and them.
Oh, come on.
That's a low
Kyle.
That's a low score. They got weapons.
They are not a good offense.
They have good weapons, is my point. But regardless, what's going to happen is they're going to bleed the clock. They're going to make sure that they don't have the ability to put up massive amount of points. That's why I do think it's going to be a lower scoring kind of game. I do think 24-20. I think Washington does squeak it out with a late run by Derek Carr to get up to that 20. Maybe a 2-point conversion. You never know.
Hey, I got something to show you all. Before you all wrap up, I got something to show you. My cousin made this technically it's for my daughter. It's an ABC Raiders book, with ABC Hut going through. I'm not going to bore you with all the awesome stuff that's
all right, guys. We'll see you on Monday.
But look at this right here. Right at the end, we got Washington. The Washington Redskins. They beat in Super Bowl 18.
Oh,
yes.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
38-9. Thanks, guys.
You got to bring it up.
Appreciate that dub. Appreciate that dub, boys.
Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for contributing and giving us
Kyle got his hat.
Your questions and all of your answers and everything. I really appreciate Tim Towner. He guesses that Washington's going to win 27-17. His MVP is Shaka Toney, which I think is really cool. Paul Murphy believes that John Allen is going to be the MVP on Sunday, and the Washington football team wins 34-31. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Nate, I can't thank you enough, sir, as always. You brought some great stats and analytics with you tonight, by the way, sir. I appreciate you for being prepared, as always. Before we get out of here, just want to plug your stuff in, Nate, just in case anybody watching doesn't know where to find you.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. I had a good time. Look forward to the game. So you can catch me on Twitter at jhawkchalk_, and look forward to talking to you guys later.
Of course, brother. We'll see you then. Kevin, it's a pleasure, sir, a.k.a. Cracky.
Thank you for having me, guys. Follow me at Sports Drunkies on Twitter.
Yeah, of course. All right, everybody. We will see you guys on Monday. Don't be a stranger. Come and hit us up. Hopefully the Washington football team gets this victory. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!